Welcome to the UDP broadcast, a podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about gaming-related topics and offer both informed and uninformed opinions. I'm your host, Luminary, accompanied by three other strangers known as the Nordic Cajun,
Gotta catch 'em all. Insert copyrighted thing here.
the Shiny Barcode, Imee,
Console game and memory card patent. Combined game system of portable and video game machines. Yeah, I've been looking at patents way too much. Hi, everybody.
and the gym leader of the Lightning Gym, Crit, from the Emerald Dream.
He made me fall asleep last night because he was obsessing over patents.
Yeah. Okay. So terms
He
of
wouldn't
use
stop
is like
talking about them for an hour.
so patents must be like turbo terms of use or end-user
Trading
license
card
agreements.
games and methods of play.
Yes.
Game pieces and method of playing game using same.
But before we get into that,
He went so deep into it that he started talking about the patent for the cable for the old Game Boys.
Yes.
Oh, why is this expired? Oh, yeah,
we still
we
gotta,
used
we still
that back
gotta
in
add.
1996.
I mean,
still
usually
gotta
would
add
have
first-
words, but so our patent talk doesn't get wound in there. 10% of all revenue goes straight
Hold on,
to. Oh, go ahead.
We got 17 seconds of this ad left. Hang on, then you can go into describing
Oh,
all
that's
that.
fine. It doesn't transition to the VOD. I don't care.
Oh well, sorry.
Yowie.
So,
Continue.
anyway, 10% of all revenue generated by watching our ads and whatnot, and any other revenue stream currently tied to me, goes straight to the Trevor Project. And for information about the Trevor
The
Project,
Trevor Project is the
did the thing.
leading organization working to end LGBTQ youth suicide in the US and beyond. The non-profit operates several programs to help prevent and respond to the public health crisis of LGBTQ youth suicide, including 24/7 free crisis services, research, advocacy, education, and peer support.
as a reminder, our opinions are our own. It does not reflect any company policy or organizations we're affiliated with in our actual lives. In other words, we're poor, don't sue us, and also as an additional disclaimer, we're not lawyers and we're not offering law advice. We're just
I
talking
was
shit
going to
because it's
say
bullshit.
that. I can read this shit, but I ain't no lawyer, so I could be wrong.
There we
So we're
go.
going to be having a lot of thick discussion tonight in terms of these kind of things with Imee
So
ruling
I
at the bit
think-
about. So
let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick.
yeah,
There's
let's
nothing quick.
So
There's nothing quick about this, but let's go.
Yeah, the elephant in the room is that a person in Canada tried to patent a universal game coin. No, wait, we're not talking about universal game coin. We're talking about Nintendo's lawsuit against Pocket Pals, the maker of Pal World, over patent infringement, not copyright,
PocketPair, by the
intellectual
way.
property, but patent infringement. And if you don't know what a patent is, the short version is it's a thing that is unique and a thing. It's not a concept per se. It's usually involving something physical or a mechanic of some sort. In this case, it would be what we found, and we could be wrong, was the patent filed in Japan by Nintendo back on the 22nd of December 2021 that describes the game capture mechanic for Pokemon. And to our best knowledge, from all the non-public information that we aren't allowed to see, that's what we think this patent lawsuit is about, is potentially this. So I'm going to say that again. It is what we think the lawsuit is potentially about. Potentially being the big word. Keep that in mind.
big capital letters with huge parentheses, potentially, allegedly, for all of my.
I'm talking about
Canadian
Patton
folks.
Oswald.
No. So what I'm going to do before we start off is I'm going to read the problem to be solved and the solution of the patent in a bunch of words that make no sense. I'll quickly break down the words for what they actually mean so you can understand them in real terms. And then we'll get right into the discussion. So the problem to be solved, which is always on a patent of what am I trying to do? To provide a game program, a game system, a game device, and a game processing method allowing a player character to perform various kinds of motions on a field in a virtual space. What that means is a game program would be the Pokemon game. So to provide the Pokemon game, a game system being the capture and fight system, a game device being the Pokeball, and a game processing method, that would be the thing that lets you upgrade and do all the stuff to your Pokemon, allowing your player to perform various kinds of motions, such as throwing things on a field in a virtual space i.e., the game. The solution they came up with is a sighting direction, and it's going to be hard to understand. I'll go break it down in a second. A sighting direction within a virtual space is determined based on second operation input. In a first mode, a player character is allowed to release an item affecting a field character disposed on a field within a virtual space toward the sighting direction. On the basis of third operation input, a sighting direction is determined based on second operation input in a second mode, and the play character is allowed to release a fighting character who fights towards the sighting direction on the basis of third operation input. That's a bunch of words. Yes. So what that actually means...
Unga bunga translation.
Yeah. So again, I'm not a patent lawyer. I could be a little bit off. A sighting direction within a virtual space is what direction are you looking? Determined based on a second input in a first mode. So the first game mode would be like you're running around. The second operation input would be the camera direction control. A player character is allowed to release an item affecting a field character disposed on a field within a virtual space. What that means is release an item, like a Pokeball, affecting a field character, something in the field of play on the screen. Affecting a field, so it has some sort of a field around it that gets released and has like the ability to suck up a character. So when you throw the Pokeball, it does that shiny little beam thing. That's what that would be. Affecting a character disposed on a field, so somewhere on the map, within a virtual space towards the sighting direction. Again, that's where the camera's pointing. On the basis of third operation input, so you press the throw button on your game controller or on the game system you're using. A sighting direction is determined based on second operation input in a second mode. So you take your joystick, you look at the camera. Now you're going to go throw the object. So you've entered a second game mode. I guess it's a targeting mode. I'm not really sure. And the play character is allowed to release a fighting character. So you throw the damn thing. The thing does the little beam effect, and all of a sudden out pops a Pokemon that fights towards the sighting direction. So the direction the camera is looking on the basis of the third operation input. So when you throw the ball goes flying, it shoots a little beam, the Pokemon appears, it starts fighting, all based on the fact that you press the throw button on your controller. That's about the best I can break it down into laypeople terms. And again, I'm not a patent lawyer, so I could be a little off, but having read enough legalese in my life, and read enough acts of parliament, that I'm pretty sure I'm fairly close on that. So that's describing the entire mechanic. See thing you want, turn camera towards it, throw the ball with the magical field that shoots a little beam that releases the other Pokemon. It fights in the direction you're looking because you pressed the throw button, and there you go. That is basically what they're saying in this patent. So I'm going to open up the floor to everybody else now that I'm done this, because I need to start drinking heavily, because the opinions are flowing.
Yeah, it sounds like you missed out on it from all the reading you did. All right. Cajun, you are our Pokemon expert. So, based on what Amy said, tell us about what you think.
Well, when I first saw the lawsuits coming down, when I saw that it was for a patent and not for actually copyright infringement, that was a first big question mark for me, because from day one, everybody was up in arms screaming that they was going to come after copyright because of how close a handful of the pals looked like a handful of Pokemon. Of course, there was always a bunch of people that came out and showed the actual inside models and how they weren't actual copies, and they debunked a lot of the theories, yada, yada, yada. But we all knew Nintendo was coming. That's what they do. If they see something that could possibly be targeted for them, they're going to go after it. The funniest thing to me was the fact that even the developers, PocketPair, didn't know what patent they were coming after them for. And that's when you and Amy went into research mode to figure it out. And it was a patent they filed, a year after Pal World came out?
Yeah,
Is that what we determined?
the first Japan filing was, I believe, 2021 December, and that was to
Yeah.
file it. That wasn't the approval. It was approved after the U.S. patent was granted.
So,
So
quick thing on patents: it doesn't matter when they're approved; it matters when you file it, because your approval process could be backlogged. So it's always done on a first filed, first granted type thing. So if you file a patent 3 days before I do, but mine gets approved before yours is still the patent that would, take priority in any sort of litigation, in any sort of complaint. It would be your patent was filed before I did. So just keep that
yeah,
in mind.
I saw that. I didn't know the fact that like it when you file it is when it counts. So
Yes.
that's interesting. But if I remember correctly, they filed that patent after PocketPair was showing, like made their announcement, like, "Hey, we're going to release this into the wild, so be ready." And they released it this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it came out beginning this year,
Came
but
out the
they
beginning.
were advertising it forever.
Yep. I mean, you can go look back at like a lot. Well, no, my VODs don't go for that far back. But Cajun and I were hype talking during our co-streaming nights. It's like, oh, it's going to be so good. This is between like playing Core Keeper and Cassette Beasts and all kinds of other things. And the most interesting part about this is that it almost seems planned in order to circumvent anything, because I guess they looked at it as like, oh, they're doing the thing for the people, so perhaps maybe we should have a contingency plan so we can get money off of this. And that's the way I'm kind of approaching it, because
Well, that's how Nintendo's always worked. They wait until something gets popular, makes a bag, and then they sue.
yeah, well, I
Then you
mean,
get paid.
that trailer certainly would have turned a lot of heads. Like the moment they were
The,
like, "Hey, we're working on this. Check this out. These
yeah, the
sheep can
trailer
fire
came out.
Gatling guns."
I saw that and it was like, that game looks kind of fun.
The first trailer came out on June 5th, 2021. That was the first like teaser trailer for Power World.
Oh yeah, and I think the first announcement, at least according to the wiki page, and we all know how reliable wiki pages are, was where did I put it? I put it in because we were talking about it in two different places.
I put
'Cause-
all the links, especially to the Japanese patent, in the first thread we had going.
yeah, there we go. Because in the backstage chat, I like took the Wikipedia excerpt from the top. It says it was announced in 2021 and launching through early access in 2024. So they at least kept to what their release schedule is, and that's great. But Pokemon is not new. I mean, think about Pokemon Red and Pokemon was it Red and Blue?
Red, blue, and green were the first three colors.
Violet, and yellow, I think, because those are the patents I saw last night.
Go ahead, Crit.
I guess emerald and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean,
those came out in America in the late '90s. So I'm assuming early '90s for Japan ish. So that's when Pokemon came about. Um, it's just the timing is very, very
Suspect.
yes. The fact that this was after this was after Pokemon Legends Arceus had been out for a while, and Scarlet and Violet. So the whole open world roaming to go find things has been out for a little while. And then this comes out as a trailer, and people are immediately showing hype. And that exact same year is when they decide to drop the patent on. We're assuming, like, I think we had mentioned it even before tonight, the capture mechanics and any mechanic that has to do with capturing things out of a ball and using them in a world.
the aiming mechanic is kind of throwing me off, that verbiage, because the only
You don't aim
aiming.
a Scarlet and Violet.
No, you don't. And mostly, I think the only game that you really aim in, I think Let's Go Eevee. It didn't in Arceus. You were able to like do arm motions with the Switch controller, weren't you?
Yeah, you were able to actually pull back and throw it like you were throwing an actual physical object at the Pokemon to try to capture them over and over and over. And Let's Go is basically just a Switch version of Pokemon Go for your phone.
Right. Then of
Same
course there's
mechanic.
Pokemon Go, which was licensed by Niantic, and you could actually use your phone as the ball and press the button as you it uses
But
your
your
phone's
phone is
gyroscope.
aiming at the virtual character.
Correct.
So that's the aiming system. That's the one mode to the next mode. So
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I'm very iffy about this entire scenario. If it was more for copyright infringement, I'd be more like, yeah, maybe. But this, like, they would have to be able to go into the code of Power World and see that they copy and paste Nintendo's code directly for this to really hold up strongly in court.
Yeah,
Not
Wordage,
necessarily.
wordage might help them, like not the way Amy laid it out. It's going to be a really
that would.
technical.
You see, that would be on the grounds of like plagiarism and would fall under copyright. The thing about patents, though, is that it is securing an idea that you thought of it first.
Yeah. And
So,
the thing I find
if they win, would that mean that
If they
PocketPair
win,
would just owe money to Nintendo, or how would that work?
if they win, I mean, aside from like whatever's being decided by the courts, if Nintendo pulls this off and wins this case, that puts pretty much any other Mon type game out there with that mechanic, where you use an item and target a field character to capture and record data on and to pull out to battle said field character. And mind you, I think what might set this apart is the exclusivity of using the field character to battle the monster or beast or whatever it may be on the field. In Power World, you can just shoot the fuck out of them.
Right.
my concern would be with the Ghostbusters game.
I
So there's
was
been
going to jump
various
into
iterations of the
stuff like that
Ghostbusters
too.
games, and one of the more recent versions had you aiming at the ghost you were going to capture, then you throw an object that affects a field on that creature in the field of play. Like so a patent, you don't have to infringe on it 100% word for word. A patent, you can infringe on it in part or
No.
in whole. So if,
This is where I'm
for
going to go
example,
after he's
this
done. Yeah.
patent, the court feels that it's way too close to I was going to say Japanese patent, but it's all filed in Japan, to the Nintendo patent. If they feel it's too close to the Nintendo patent, then they could say, yes, you're infringing on it. My problem with that would be all these other prior works out there, especially Ghostbusters would be the first thing that comes to mind, because that involves targeting a creature, throwing a device that affects a field, so the big sucky glowy thing that then captures it. You don't necessarily need to release something to fight. The patent, the Japanese patent, or the Nintendo's patent, I should say, because my brain's all messed up from reading too many of these. The patent specifically says for fighting, but you can also in part violate a patent by meeting a portion of that. And I think you would be able to claim that Ghostbusters is infringing on this because the sighting direction, the first mode of gameplay, which would be like looking at it, using your a proton pack to bring it down, then releasing the item that uses the field, on the creature in the virtual space. Like based on the operation of a third input, so basically like pressing the throw button, I think you could make a claim that even that's infringing or getting too close. The problem I have is that's prior work. And when it comes to patents, and as far as I can tell from even international treaties, prior work is always taken into account. So they patented this in 2021 in December. So Pal World was already announcing the release of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So potentially that's prior work. The Ghostbusters games have existed for more than a decade, so that's prior work. I think the fact that they added the use a creature or use the item to launch the creature to fight the creature, I think that's the very narrow lines in which they could sue, is if your pal can be thrown at another creature to cause a fight versus running up and shooting the fuck out of it. But even then, they've been in development longer than the announcement trailer, right? Like they announced the trailer back earlier in the year,
June
then they went to
2021.
early access. So it's been under development even longer than this patent has been around for, having been filed in late 2021. So I think this was Nintendo's best bet of saying, this is a very, very thin case, but this is the best of all the shitty options we have. And the big problem I see is that every game out there. And I foresee a problem like we had in the early 2000s, which, if, for those of you who don't know, there was a massive patent war that went on throughout the internet with what was known as, and still known as, a patent troll, and many patent trolls, where they would file patents for the most frivolous thing. Amazon tried patenting the one-click buy option in Canada. God, I love this country. It does not hand out frivolous patents. So in the US, they patented the one-click buy. So when you see buy now, it automatically charges your credit card and you get the item shipped. That was patented in the US. It was not patented in Canada because it was denied because it did not provide a unique feature that was unique to the software and only this software type thing. And, like, we have a very, very narrow definition in Canada. That meant that Amazon went around, sued everybody else on this planet except for Canadian websites for having a one-click buy option. News aggregators like Fark.com were hit with patent lawsuits over aggregating news. The claim was that it was an automated system, but Fark is a user-submitted system. So I see potentially a lot of patent troll behavior if Nintendo wins this, where they will go around suing everybody out of existence or licensing it out of existence to the point where the license cost is $50 million per install. And you're like, well, I guess I'm just closing up shop. But that's also going to open up the door for patent trolls to be like, hey, let's look at all these games out here. Let me file a patent for a reload function of a gun. How many fucking games out there are first-person shooters or third-person shooters that use a reload mechanic, or even side-scrollers, 2D games, whatever? How many things out there use a reload mechanic? Well, that's now a patent. It was never filed before. There's all that prior work, but I'm going to file it today. And that means you owe me royalties. You owe me money. That's
Stupid.
the extreme far end, but
That
I
was
see
stupid.
that as a potential, like a big
Yeah.
potential if this happens.
Yeah, if Nintendo can pull this rabbit out of their ass, I'm not even gonna say hat, it's out their ass at this point. Every single game that has any kind of mechanic, even similar to it, is up up for grabs for them. That
Absolutely.
includes games like Persona, Shin
Mhm.
Megami Tensei, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Double
Digimon.
jump.
Yes, anything that can
Like
summon a
crouch jump,
creature
double
to
jump.
fight is up for grabs. And that can scarily and also immediately almost turn it into a monopoly of that
Absolutely.
style of game, which
Well,
is
and
a whole
I
nother
see
kettle
going
of fish.
beyond. I see going beyond just that game mechanic of the capture system and the fight system. I see it opening the door to everybody patenting every aspect of any part of a game
Hmm.
and saying, you owe me money. So this decision by the Japanese court, haha, I got it right this time. The decision by this Japanese patent court is going to have lasting ramifications worldwide and industry wide, and not even in this industry, the gaming industry as a whole, but external to that as well. Because now you're saying anything is patentable, except in Canada, thank fuck. But we're going to see a lot of people get pushed out of development space. Like, I want car doors to be able to be locked. I'm going to now patent that. Like, the locking mechanisms are patented, but the concept of locking the door, I'm going to patent that. Fuck you. Your doors can no longer lock on your car or
It,
pay
it
me money.
it could, especially back in the game scene, it could easily put a very strong lock on majority of indie developers out there.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
going to hurt the indie scene tremendously over
And
something that's so petty,
the
so
worst thing
petty.
is right now you need copyright lawyers when you're dealing with video game development. Now you're going to need patent lawyers and experts to go through your source code to evaluate patents worldwide to make sure you haven't infringed on somebody else's patent in your source code. And that's going to run people out of the development space.
Hmm.
That hurts gamers and consumers in the long run.
But does Nintendo care?
Well, you
Nope,
said
they just want that
before
fat money.
that they're working with or they're part of Activision.
Power World is being helped by Microsoft and Sony. I think they're on the Game Pass for Microsoft, and Sony was providing access to the PlayStation Network or something. Or the two of them were doing something. Both of those companies have kept their mouth shut so far.
Yeah, it's
They're watching. They're
making their
watching the
game
water.
available because it's a highly popular game. I can see that on both sides. But as far as like vested interest is concerned, it's just Sony. Sony's the one that's allowed them to become a under their umbrella as a developer. So now
Yeah.
Sony is going to have to fight this fight for this developer. and Sony's in
already
Japan.
hurting for money.
Yeah, that's one of the. I remember it used to be a joke because you couldn't fight Sony because Sony had dollars to throw at it. Well, Nintendo has dollars too, unfortunately. But I think it's interesting because all of those companies are all Japanese companies, right?
Yep.
I think it would be interesting if it passes in Japan or if a judgment is against PocketPair for this and sets the precedent for that in Japan. I mean, it's scary that it could potentially go worldwide as far as like defending those type of things because money is involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and the worst part is patent law is governed mostly by treaties through the world. I think it's called the World Patent Organization. I got to double check it again. But basically, every country is part of this treaty to respect each other's patents within their own respective laws. Canada being an outlier of you can't patent the fucking toilet paper. Piss off. Because they never filed a patent in Canada for that. They filed a patent in Japan and then in the US. They never filed one in Canada, from what I can tell. The best I could find making Crit fall asleep last night was patenting the actual Pokemon themed Game Boys with the data link cable a few years ago, like 20 years ago. That's the best I could find in terms of Pokemon and Nintendo. Otherwise, they never even bothered trying to patent that mechanic. So that would also run into another weird scenario where if I'm developing in the US and it's against US patent law, well, I'll just fucking move to Canada. It's not patented in Canada, so I can release it there. And I can release it anywhere that it doesn't violate patent. And if there's enough countries like Canada that won't, allow you to patent random bullshit like that, then Nintendo's gonna be losing out on money. It's gonna be great for us if we start getting more game development companies coming to Canada.
Here's a quick question. They filed for this patent. They got approved for this patent in Japan and in America so far, right? Could they use this patent now against future developers already?
Yes. So what ends up happening is your patent lawyers will sit there and watch the development space. They will look over their swarm of patents. Nintendo has like a couple thousand in Canada. It's gross. And what they'll end up doing is saying, this game here looks like it's infringing on our patent. We're going to sue them. So in Canada, Nintendo has 2,600,000 patents that have been filed, abandoned, and or approved, or expired. So of the active ones, your lawyers will be searching through all the active patents in every country to see if it violates it. And that's going to cost you as a developer, or as Nintendo, a lot of money, but as the developers, now you have to tiptoe around everywhere you go to make sure you're not violating patents. It's so screwy what's happening or potentially going to happen.
Like even just the ramifications, Nintendo doesn't have to win this one. The fact that they filed for it is scary in and of itself.
Yeah, there's that. But Jaime was talking about patent trolls. They will go after anyone and everyone that has any resemblance of the thing that you have a patent on. It doesn't matter, right? And the worst part about that is it costs time and money to go and try to defend that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And being backed by Nintendo because they have a fat pocketbook because of their current IP franchises that they only release once every 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just
Terribly,
what it is.
recently.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens as this pans out, as far as like what's going to happen with the judgment in Japan, how that's going to translate into other countries. Because while the courts in Japan might be like, yeah, PocketPair, you can't do this, and because PocketPair is a Japanese company, it'll probably just stay there. It won't come over here, right? But any future things that come out with, I didn't even know there was a patent treaty, so thank you for that, Amy. But because future games that may be working on a monster or beast capture mechanic and battler, that's where the interesting part comes in. And then what those countries do for where those developers are based, how they're going to be affected by the court's decision in the country where they're filing lawsuit in.
Yeah, it's got a lot of worldwide ramifications if this goes against Pocket Pal. And in the end, Nintendo will say, "Oh, we're protecting our patents and blah blah blah."
No, you're not.
Nintendo doesn't suffer at the end of the day. We do as gamers, as consumers. We are the ones
Everybody
that get
suffers
fucked.
except for Nintendo.
I did say this in one of our chats, like, legal court and court of public opinion are two different things. And if it takes it, like, your patent means shit if you're broke and you don't have. I mean, mind you, I don't think Nintendo has to worry about going out of business because they print money with Mario. Like, all they have to do is, like, oh, no, nobody's buying anything. Quick, release the Metroid game that we were working on.
Yeah, it's just Malibu Stacy with a new hat again.
Mm-hmm. So, but the ability to do mechanics like that describes a whole genre of games. It really does, and I'm
Multiple
glad it's not.
genres, really.
I'm glad it's not retroactive. That means Digimon. They just can't release any new games. But like,
That's the thing, is now you've killed off competitors.
yeah,
Because if you patent a thing and you know all of your competitors use that same concept, you've now prevented your competitors from, like you exactly just said, releasing anything new.
yep. And then Pokemon can be lame all the time, and nobody will complain because everybody wants to play a Pokemon type game, which is why Pal World took off so hard when it was released.
Because everybody was ready for something new, fresh, and actually fun.
'Cause
And that's what Power
Pokemon's
World
boring.
Power World filled that gap. The closest the Pokemon has come to being innovative and truly fun was Legends Arceus.
I'm kind of wondering because they've been working on this Legends, was it Legends Z, Cajun? Z Alpha or something?
I don't know what the actual verbiage of the title is. They have a Z and an A in there.
Yeah, it was like an
It-
alpha symbol or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jesus fish, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they've
What?
got that going, and I'm kind of wondering if they wanted to use some of the same mechanics. And they're like,
That's a lot of theory crafting that I've seen on Twitter. That, like, when Power World came out, a lot of stuff they were like, I'm not gonna say we were actually gonna go start picking up Glocks and shooting Pikachu in the back alley, but a lot of things that
Die, Pikachu! Pika, Pika, bam!
where my money? Poof. I highly doubt Nintendo was developing that for Legend ZA. The only thing that I can imagine for ZA that I'm just gonna call it Z, screw the A, for Legend Z is maybe it was gonna take the open world aspect a little bit further than Legends Arceus, because Legends Arceus was the petri dish for future Legends games, and it was fantastic. It really was. And maybe because of how Pocket Pair really jumped up and expanded on that idea to the 19th degree, maybe that's what kind of, I hate to say scared because Nintendo just is a big fat money roll. They don't really get scared. But to see this little team of 3 to 5 people show up and make a huge splash for something that's similar but completely different from Pokemon, it could have made the big boy jealous, and that's why they're trying to snuff out anybody that could potentially show them any competition. But let's be fair, Pocket Pal was never going to be the Pokemon killer. Nobody wants to be the Pokemon killer. We just want an option other than Pokemon.
yeah. And everybody loves capturing creatures. Like, oh my goodness, what if they come after the hunters in World of Warcraft?
I'm saying World of Warcraft's on the chopping block because of their little pet battle system.
Oh,
Because you capture those
We
things in
wouldn't
little
touch the
cages. And
hunters because they have the taming.
yeah, they do have the taming,
We
but
don't throw balls. We just
the capture device is FOOB.
yep,
I mean,
it's just
we don't really have a capture
everything.
device for taming pets. That's
No,
just
the
back in the day.
Don't you throw a box
no,
at them?
there's a little battle
That's
pet
for the
game.
battle pets.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking
So
That's
about.
yeah,
great.
battle pets.
That's in World of Warcraft, so that's up for grabs too if they really wanted it, because it's basically Pokemon in World of Warcraft. That's what everybody said when it
I
came
gotta
out.
remember when they actually did that. It might actually precede the actual patent filing, so they might be safe. They just
Oh,
Oh,
it was that was back when
battle
I was
pets
playing.
has
It's
been
way
around
back in.
since before Warlords of Draenor,
yeah. So that
which was
was
10
It's been
years
in there
ago
for a
this November.
hot minute.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
an
again,
old thing.
if you can't use prior works as an excuse, they could do that. They could say cease and desist. This is my patent. Either pay me, you can't keep doing it in your game. Like that's the power that's sitting in this stupid patent lawsuit right now.
yeah. Well,
And
the other
bull.
part about that is that they've released expansion since then, and have kept that mechanic. So is it a new game every time an expansion is released? So, at
Good
what
question.
point do you have to shut off the pet capture mechanic?
It would
There's just so
be
much.
yeah. So the way you would look at it is they filed in 20, like if Nintendo wins, which I hope they don't. They filed in December. So every expansion that Blizzard releases post December 2021 would be subject to that patent infringement. And since the US and Japan have an agreement to recognize each other's patents in this regard, they 100% would be violating the Japanese filed patent from Nintendo. And the same patent filed in the US. It'd be actually a double whammy. Likely only prosecuted in just the US. And specifically, I think it's the 3rd District Court of Texas, I think. Whichever one is in, I think it's in Texas, that like just throws out bajillions of dollars to copyright and or patent holders without a care in the world of the repercussions. I can't remember which district court that was, but that's going back to like the patent wars of the early 2000s.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
like it would the latest expansion for WoW would be absolutely hit.
And that would
When did
and that would hit.
Dragonflight come out? Was that after or was that before 2021?
I think before.
Sorry, you're really
Maybe
really
no,
quiet.
after I think. I think 2022.
Okay, so yeah, Dragonflight would also be hit
Yeah, this
with
looking at the
a
bottom of this
violation.
U.S. patent application, it was filed September 21st, 2022. And I don't. Does Blizzard actually have offices in Japan? Because if that's the case,
I
then
It
that
wouldn't matter because the patent is recognized, like the US patent recognizes the Japanese patent.
Mhm.
So you would still have a violation. Because there's what the hell do they call it here? A patent cooperation treaty. And when you have those, that means a patent filed in country A will be recognized by country B. And I like to see that under most of the Nintendo ones filed in Canada, patent cooperation treaty, no. Fuck you. Hell no. Go fuck your hat. And that's the nice thing.
And
Like,
Mario's hats.
yeah, they can all go to hell. Yeah, but I mean, you guys use the patent control treaties, so you recognize in this case the treaty as being valid, even though it was filed in Japan. And the American one being approved is on the basis of the one in Japan being approved, or sorry, being filed. So yeah, you would still get hit with a Japanese violation and possibly an American violation at the same time. You'd
that's so
likely only
sad.
prosecute the one, like one or the other, but you could, in theory, do both.
Wow. Yeah, that
It's fucked. Patent law is entertaining and horrifying at the same time. And I'm just quickly reviewing all the Nintendo ones I pulled up, and they're all for the actual game system. None of them are for Pokemon the game.
Yeah, which leads me to
for
believe
the
it
game
is
mechanics.
very targeted. It's super
100%.
targeted. Like,
Oh, it's
100%. Because
incredibly biased. Entire.
you know in the US you can make a lot of money on a patent infringement case, and I gotta go look it up, but I'm pretty sure most of the patent trolls went to a very tiny district court in Texas, simply because they knew they could get a giant payout. Because I remember Research in Motion, the people that made the BlackBerry, got sued in that tiny little ass court in Texas for the keyboard infringing on some patent that had been filed like 5 years earlier that had just remained dormant. Because a lot of patent troll companies, they'll file patents on everything, or they will buy up all kinds of random patents and file all kinds of random patents in a shotgun effect of seeing who they can trap next. And yeah, it was some fucking court in Texas would just hand out millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements.
I just put a
Do you
link
know if
in.
Pal Worlds had any patents put out for the mechanic?
We'd have to look it
Would
up.
it
I
be like
don't know.
like a no use thing? Because that would be funny.
The rise and fall of a Texas patent court. I knew it was Texas. Western District of Texas. What's that? No, that's 2018. No, I need to find the early shit.
I
Anyways,
put a link in the Twitch chat of the top 25 creature capture style games.
hell yeah.
Every single one of those games would be targeted if this succeeds. And you got games like Monster Hunter Stories, Shin Megami Tensei, as I mentioned earlier. You got Dragon Quest
Starbound.
Monsters, which, by the way, it was pointed out that a lot of the original Pokemon designs were ripped from Dragon Quest. Just throwing that out there. World of Final Fantasy Maxima, which is a Final Fantasy style capture game. Of course, Koromon, the Suidoken series, Nexomon, which I've never even heard of that. Looks pretty cool. I'm learning about these new games myself just looking at this. Tim, which was a huge one. This is basically a clone of Pokemon, and then Ooblets being the number one of all of them. Like all of these have a go capture creature, go capture monster, use in battle, which could be, if they ever have an update or they come out with a new game, could be targeted by Nintendo should this fly.
Pocket
And I think
Mortys.
Pocket Morty, I
Found
saw
it.
that.
Eastern District of Texas was the king of patent troll filings in the early 2000s. In 2013, there were 6,000 lawsuits filed in federal courts in the U.S., and 25% were filed in that specific district. So, if you were going to sue in the U.S., you would sue in that district to almost guarantee a win. So, any developer here of that, especially that 25 Pocket Monster type thing, you would want to sue in Eastern District, Texas to guarantee yourself a win or have a high probability of winning.
I hate capitalism.
It's not even capitalism. It's the way that district court is set up. They have a massively, insanely fast turnaround as far as document preparation is concerned. So to pull numbers out of my ass as an example, it would be you file the patent, but now you have 30 days to respond, or the patent lawsuit, now you have 30 days to respond, we'll say, and then pretend everywhere else in the country has, 12 months to respond. You're going to want to settle out of court even if you did nothing wrong. Because in 30 days, how are you supposed to prepare a defense?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, patent troll kingdom.
Oh. And we just want to play cute little creature games.
Where you can murder them and
Yes,
put them
exactly.
into slavery.
If they
Sorry?
take Depresso away from me, I'm going to be Angies.
I'm saying, man. Ridiculous. Nintendo, eat a dick.
Yeah.
It's Nintendo and Nintendum.
Nintendo.
As far as
Yeah,
I'm
pun
concerned.
detected.
Nintendo.
Lol. Duh.
Nintendo.
Well, I knew this was going to take up a good chunk of the podcast.
Oh yeah, it's
I
one
have
of
a
our biggest
teaser for
topics.
next week.
Oh,
what's going on next week?
What-
Actually, I'm not going to be able to make next week, so we'll talk about
Me
that.
So
either.
too.
I'll be
the
out of
teaser
town.
for the next podcast.
Oh.
What happens when you spend $200 million and your company name is Sony on a game that you have to refund? Dun dun dun.
Ooh, that was Concord, wasn't it?
Yep, we can talk about that next time.
Nord
Absolutely.
senses tingling.
Let's see here.
Next podcast channel or next podcast day, next podcast time.
So let me go over this other stuff that I found here because we're not going to have enough time to go over them all. Let's see here. We talked about Pokemon. On that same vein, apparently there was a Chinese company. The Pokemon company wins 15 million copyright lawsuit against Chinese Pokemon clone.
That makes sense because they were pretty much verbatim copying Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
That
They-
makes sense.
Like the WoW clone that Raina found this week on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Pocket
Yep,
Monster
the Sylvanas
reissue is
thing.
what they called it. So like they didn't even hide it.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, with the clone for World of Warcraft, or at least the one that tried to bait people into playing it with Azeroth and Sylvanas and stuff like that, they didn't try to hide that either. They're like, "Come journey through Azeroth." I'm like, smart, good job.
Bro, that
It was just, it's a very much a what the fuck ad. Like, what am I reading? It's got like Sylvanas as an anime character with a pointy triangular chin. Join the epic battle across Azeroth. Battle across Azeroth with friends anywhere, anytime. And the game name is Epic Quest Dungeon Crawler.
Let's see
Yep.
here. Critical Role.
I was like,
Oh,
"Hey,
go ahead.
Blizz, you know anything about this one?" And then Bullseye was like, "I thought Sylvanas didn't have any time for games."
Lol.
ooh, dum dum.
Uh,
Sorry, the kids are playing in the background.
New tabletop RPG system, Daggerheart by Matthew
I wanna
Mercer
play, I
of
wanna
Critical
play, I wanna
Role.
play, I wanna play, I wanna play, I wanna
That's
play, I
going to
wanna play.
be in pre-order right now, and you can only order it at Darrington Press. There's two options: one $60 for the core system, and one on $150, which is limited edition. It looks like it comes with dice, so your dice freaks can get like limited edition dice.
I'll definitely be getting that probably next week because I want it, 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 I want it.
This one's fun. Australia tightens in-game gambling rules. Casino mini games mean automatic 18+ rating. So like Super Mario
Yes.
2 with their 1-up slot machine now is a rated M. How about that?
That's awesome.
That's a
Screw
gambling
you,
system.
Nintendo.
Kids don't gamble. One
Mine-
up, one up, one up.
Minecraft trailer fell flat. People are like, "What the
Oh
fuck?"
no.
Even
Oh,
Jack
for the
Black
game,
was.
yeah, or the movie,
Hang on.
yeah.
Let me lay down some rules right here for when it comes to freaking games turned into movies. We all grew up with that abysmal Mario movie back in the 1990s. We
Hey,
all
Oh,
now.
with Dennis Hopper as Koopa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Mario TV show?
Oh, I love the Mario
Yep.
TV show. Do the Mario. Dun 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 dun. dun. Yeah, great show. But when it comes to creating a movie out of a game, you need to do two things. One, you need to play the damn game, first of all. And
Yes.
two, the people who are making the game, including the actors and actresses that are going to be in the game, need to at least watch somebody play the game to get an aspect of the feel of the game. That's why Borderlands failed so miserably.
Sir,
And
that was the greatest movie of all time. I don't know what you're talking about. It had big
Honestly, I would-
explosions.
not
I would
according to the box
expect-
office.
I would expect Ryan Reynolds to actually play Steve because at least he was the blue shirt guy in Free Guy.
That would have
See,
been
that
awesome.
would have made sense to me. That would have made sense. But right now, Jack Black right now is the new Chris Pratt. He's literally in everything. I love the man to death, but ever since he took off with Bowser, he's just been in every dead movie. You don't need that much Jack Black. I'm sorry.
The one
Calm
thing
down.
At
I-
least
little
get
bit.
more let budding actors have,
I'm saying
the
that
door
that, that
open
little
for him.
that little core group of like Jack Black and Kevin Hart and all them, they're the new Adam Sandler group. They're just in every movie that they want to be in.
Or Rob Schneider.
Yeah, it's insane. Because you have the ideas of the Super Mario movie that came out recently. people thought it was going to be terrible because Chris Pratt was Mario. Turned out to be a really good little movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The Sonic movies started out to be a nightmare fuel until they fixed Sonic's eyes, and now they're on their third one. Doing great with that. You look at Borderlands, you had a chance to blow it out the park. You really did. Jack Black, I think, I haven't seen the movie yet, by the way. I think Jack Black as Claptrap could have been amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing his little quips that he did.
Okay. I will give you a little bit of info on Jack Black. I do not like him as an actor. He is annoying as shit to me. I'm sure he's a great human being, but he's annoying as fuck as far as an actor goes to me, and it's my personal opinion. Don't like it. I will give you a new one later.
That's how I feel about Will Ferrell.
Claptrap is an annoying character. His whole raison d'etre is to be annoying.
Mhm.
And so having Jack Black playing Claptrap was actually good.
Well, good.
The
As long as
two
I get to
most
hear him say
annoying
wall sphincters,
personalities.
I'll be good.
Sorry?
As long as I get to hear Jack Black say wall sphincters at least once, I'll be good.
No.
No,
but
that
the
that
two
was
most
that.
annoying
But that's the
personalities
thing.
being
Let me.
merged into one character was actually okay.
It would have taken the director and the people doing the movie to actually play the game to know that Claptrap said that.
Yeah, this is true. One of the things
Like
that...
you,
Go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
Oh.
It was gonna be something.
I'm just trying to
Something.
go through all these topics here real quick.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm done with my rant. Go ahead.
The one thing I do want to focus on the next time we get a podcast is the one on Steen. He's getting his own Netflix special, and the director got permission from Activision Blizzard to actually use their IPs inside of this movie. So that's going to be a thing. Crit had sent me a message on it, and I think it's worth talking about because apparently this 25-year-old with a rare, he was a quadriplegic, a rare disease. So what was the name of that disease? Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So it's it's muscular dystrophy. So I think that's going to be interesting to see if we can talk about that. Flappy Bird is making its comeback, but not by the original person.
Oh
And the
my
original
God, I saw
person
that.
even threw in at the end, is like, I don't do crypto, which set the whole internet on fire.
Oh,
And this
dang.
article from The Verge said that some items that were on the new Flappy Bird people's website had some deleted pages that did refer to crypto. So that's a whole thing. Those were my backup topics in case Pokemon and Nintendo kind of like ended early. So
Well, you know, I could talk about Pokemon Nintendo for hours. So the
well-
fact that we finished it in 45 minutes is very, very calm.
well, it was big because it has long reaching implications across the entire world.
It does. It's sad.
So and that's just it. So
And just to put one more like cherry on top, all of you, make sure the kid's not in the room. All of you Game Freak Nintendo cocksuckers out there who are just gnawing at the bit for PocketPair to lose out on Twitter, you're fucking stupid.
It's going to hurt you in the long run, you idiots.
If you're not backing the indie developer, who, to be fair, they probably got some stuff they shouldn't have done. There's been allegations of other things across the board when it comes to PocketPair. Are they the cleanest company? Probably not. But when it comes to the indie development scene, if PocketPair goes down, everybody in that segment, past, present, and future, are going down, and you're going to be sitting there clapping about it. You need to really get your head on straight.
you mispronounced it. It's called fapping, not clapping.
Yeah.
Fapping.
Yes.
The
yes.
best part is those idiots, those people who are hoping for the downfall of PocketPair, are going to be the same ones that are like, ooh, Pokemon got a new hat. Malibu Stacy got a new hat. I keep going back to that Simpsons reference because it is so true. Slap a new coat of paint on Mario. Oh my god, have to have the Mario game. Pikachu has a new hat. Must have it.
Well, if you think
I
about
mean, they
it,
do have costumes for Pikachu and Pokemon Go. I mean,
All right, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
it takes an
Don't
act of
fucking
God to get
do it.
Nintendo to like revolutionize anything, and they're pretty much taking the same upgrade approach as you would a toothbrush, because a toothbrush used to be a stick with bristles,
it's the
and
same
now there's a
back.
comfort
It's-
strip. Now there's the wiggly neck. Now there's the flip top. Like it's stupid.
So
Mine has a
Nintendo's
motor.
doing what every big game company does, which is they take no risk. PocketPair took a concept and ran with it, and then I like the quote from the lead developer. We need to Americanize this. How should we do that? We'll add guns. That's a huge risk.
It is.
Honestly, it's a massive risk because that could have fallen flat. Like there's all these possibilities of the game having fallen flat, and then Americans were like, "Ooh, gun."
And it just proves
Gun.
how the vast majority of the Pokemon fandom is chomping at the bit for something new.
Yeah.
That's why Arceus, like I keep raising it up on a pedestal, is probably the best game they've made in the past 20 years. Period. Because it was the introduction to the open world and going hunt the actual Pokemon and actually throwing the Pokeball to actually capture them. It was the beginning of something new. And it opened the world that got slammed on its face with Scarlet and Violet. They took everything that was good about Arceus and threw it in the trash can and kept the bad shit. I will die on that hill. I don't care
I,
what anybody says.
I will tell
I
you
love
this.
Scarlet and Violet. I love it, and I still play to this day. It could have been so much better
I will
if they
tell
would
you
have just
this,
kept.
Cajun. If they end up winning this patent fight, I'm not buying another Nintendo system or any of their
I'm in
games
the same
moving
boat.
I
forward.
never have.
I hate to
Well,
say it. I will have to just
Like,
watch other people play Pokemon from afar and play
I
my
mean,
old games.
I mean, I, I
Can't
was
support.
well. They're coming. They came for those guys too. Remember when Nintendo was just like, you can't play our games unless we get royalties, and they got
Yeah,
fucked on that.
they are so up their own ass about their intellectual property that they cut
so
you off from their old games to where you can't even play anymore on their own systems.
so
The
as far as
Disney
intellectual
approach.
property goes, you have to protect it. Otherwise, you will lose the ability to claim ownership of it, because there's weird copyright rules in many countries that basically say if you don't use it, you lose it. That's why there's, and if you don't defend it, you lose it, which is why they're so anal retentive about protecting the IP and the copyright of those assets. So that's understandable, and especially when you like use emulators are a gray area. Um, Personally, I think that if a game is no longer be able to be played on a modern system, there should be no problem with an emulator to play it.
Especially when the going price right now for a Pokemon Black 2 copy is like $175.
But it's not even manufactured. That's like an eBay price, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's
So
not.
when something's out of print, out of distribution, out of manufacture, um, emulation should be not a problem at all,
Agreed.
because Nintendo, when you buy a game off of eBay for $200, Nintendo doesn't see a penny of that. Why do they
Nope.
care? So if you protect your copyright on all modern things for all modern platforms, that's one thing, and I'm totally cool with that because it's yours. You need to protect it. But when it comes to older stuff that you don't even support or allow people to play because you don't have a platform that can play it, why do you care? I understand that, oh, it's our copyright, we have to protect it. Draw a line. Just because you don't enforce it in one place doesn't mean you can't enforce it in another. And you can make it very, very clear to people that we're only going to prosecute people who are doing it when that system can be played on a platform that is currently for sale and manufactured.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
100% agree.
Nope.
I've been around this shit for too long.
Nerd.
The
Yeah.
patent wars of
Nerd.
2003. Fuck.
I was really looking forward to getting the Switch 2 of the new Pokemon game. I'm going to say that right now.
Well, let's hope that PocketPair wins for all of our sake.
Yeah, let's
So,
hope.
for anybody who's wondering what they should do right now, I would say if you already have a Nintendo system, Nintendo games, play them as you normally would. Would I say hold off on buying anything new for now? Yes. 100% hold off.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose the lawsuit, continue to buy their product. If they win the lawsuit, I personally would recommend you take your money and go put it somewhere else, preferably into an indie developer. If that's not your thing, then do with it how you please. But for now, I would say status quo, just hold off on buying anything.
And go play more Power World.
Yeah,
I know I'm gonna.
Support the little guys. Because
absolutely.
Nintendo was once little too.
They were.
They were card manufacturers at one point. Look at them now.
Hmm.
They are assholes now.
Yes. How did Harvey Dent say it? You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. They're in their
Yep.
villain era.
Nope. Speaking of villains, let's talk about round table stuff. Grit, what are you doing this week?
Probably playing more World of Warcraft. The War Within. Yep.
That's good. I know that you've been doing a lot of delves and whatnot. Honestly, I'm really enjoying the follower dungeons. So
Yeah, I mean, I usually use it as a gauge to see where I'm at as far as my abilities go. And like they have the test dummies in Orgrimmar and stuff like that. Like pretty much using them to practice my spells and stuff like that and see my reactions before I actually go into playing with other characters and like let's say heroics and stuff like that. Because the follower dungeons are pretty much normals.
yep,
They're good for getting quests done, but also good for practice.
yeah, that's what I'm liking about it. The delves have been pretty cool too. So, but yeah, I agree with you there. By the
It
way,
also trains with the mechanics too, so I like that.
my Warrior 78 will probably be 80 by the end of tonight. So, if you need a tank, I got you, or I can switch to arms or whatever. I me.
Either or, I'm gonna see about leveling up my Mistweaver because apparently they're doing really good right now.
Your monk.
Yes.
I will punch you to health.
I really enjoyed Mistweaver healing. It was really good. Not so much the Drakthir Evoker, or not Evoker. What was it? The Heal Voker. I'll just say that.
Preservation.
Yeah, Preservation.
Preservation, no healing.
Well, I mean, you could pretty much bad breath people to health, which is kind of nice. So,
Halitosis for the win.
Yeah.
Oh, Lumi, guess what?
Yes. What?
They're gonna be opening up more classes to the evokers.
I hope so. Well, I'd like to be an Evoker monk. Like dragon monks are going to be like you're going to see a lot more of those.
The next patch we're getting opened.
I'm down. But oh my gosh, even the Death Knights would be kind of awesome.
A Death Knight healer?
No, Death Knight Drakthir.
Okay.
I mean,
So that you
But
can really call it instead of a bad dragon, call it a dead dragon.
all right, so what have I got going on this week?
everybody went straight to Reddit on that one. All right, so
All right. So what I've got going on this week is making fun of NZXT. They make a lot of computer hardware, including the case I own. They have an ad. I'm going to post it in chat here. It's the text on the ad. I think it was posted to Facebook. Says, "When was the last time you refilled your PC's thermal paste?" And the best part is they have what I assume was developed by AI, a case where there is a tube of thermal paste being squeezed into the audio port, the 3.5mm audio jack. So as you know, as everyone here knows, you refill your thermal paste through the audio jack the same way you would refill the gas in your car. The tweet is now in chat, and oh my god, it's fucking hilarious. And no, I will not call it an X. I know in I think it's Mandarin or Cantonese, X is pronounced like with a sh sound, so it's like I could say it's a tweet or a sheet, your choice. I'm not calling Twitter X, not until the muskrat starts recognizing his children for who they are.
Agreed.
that looks
So yeah, Twitter, the tweet is fucking hilarious. NZXT needs to stop using AI to write their ads because oh my god, this is glorious.
that looks like it's a Facebook post. Hold on.
I think it was a Facebook post, but yeah. Otherwise, I am playing Ultimate Admiral's Dreadnought. The Holy Meatball Empire of Italy is spread across the entire world. France no longer exists. Germany is about to be out of existence. Other than that, I am playing Xenonauts, which is what XCOM 2 could have been if they didn't have weird snake ladies with giant boobs. I don't understand that. That was a really weird shift in the game lore, but thanks guys.
I don't see an issue.
Oh no.
When you see the original creatures and then what they quote unquote evolved into, it just I mean, some people are into snake chicks with giant tits, but the whole concept of the evolution of that specific creature is just weird. But Xenonauts is very much what XCOM 2 could have been. if they kept more in line with the original theme of the game. But yeah, that's what I'm up to this week.
Real quick, looks like Iron Mouse's channel was taken down from YouTube. For whatever reason, YouTube has been going after a lot of VTubers.
Because of
Oh.
false strike and copyright claims.
I guess. I don't even know why. But
You get enough bots or enough of a rabid fan base, you can take down anything. And in fact, I think it's still active. I will actually have to double check and try. But I think you can still selectively take down someone's video without actually filing a complaint. And by take down, I mean making sure it is never seen by the internet ever again. There was an exploit in YouTube a long time ago, it may still be relevant, where when you paid to promote a video, you couldn't select a different video, but the URL field to the video was editable. So you could take the URL to any video you want, paste it in there, and then choose all the wrong categories for that video to be displayed in. So say it's a skateboarding video, I could, promote it to channels devoted to knitting and sewing and cooking and, everything not relevant to skateboarding. And then that way the algorithm would actually tank the video into oblivion.
that sucks so bad. Yeah, I remember the Spiffing Brit did something like that.
Yep.
Yep, that's. But yeah, no, Iron Mouse. Apparently, she's the only reason why I even came up on my feeds. I'm not following her is because Pirate Software retweeted her thing. It's like, oh my god, my stuff is gone. So I was like, oh, way to go, Thor! Like, keep that shit up. Call attention to it. But yeah, Cajun, what are you doing this week?
Well, speaking of thermal paste, I have an issue
Yeah, you
at the
had
house.
fun this week.
This week was supposed to be Little Man's YouTube debut because he's been recording stuff on his computer. Well, Friday he had an accident. He was playing on his computer. It was either Thursday or Friday, and there was a doorbell. The doorbell rang, and he instinctively just got up and ran towards the door to go answer it, forgetting that his headphones were plugged into his computer, and he pulled the whole computer down. I got home and I started investigating. It came on, it was fine at first, and then I started hearing a very weird, loud noise coming from inside the tower itself. Turns out the noise was coming from the water coolant over the processor. So I have to either see if it's salvageable, which I think says probably not, but I'm going to do my best to try to save myself $100. If not, I gotta get that and fix it, get some thermal paste, and get his machine up and running so we can get his YouTube channel up and running.
Yeah,
He felt so bad. He was so upset, and I was too. My game plan this weekend was to edit and get it out for him on Monday so he can get going, and now we're pushed back at least a week. So it was a sad accident. Things happen. He's a kid. So
Yeah.
I just got the RAM still works. Like I said, it booted up the first time, so the hard drives are fine. It's just that little cooler I gotta replace.
I'm pretty sure it's unless it's a self-contained water cooling system. Like, as I know, they have a lot of heat sinks that have like built-in liquid cooling that just kind of exists there and pulls the heat off of the processor through the fins, which is kind of neat. But you can probably just find one with a fan, put it on there. It'll cost you like maybe $60 in time.
Which is what I'm probably gonna do. Look, I'm gonna send you a DM with the picture so you can see what I'm looking at.
It also depends on how old it is, because you'll have to start looking at form factor, because it's not just go to the store. I would like 1 heat sinks, please, and they're like, no problem. No, it's like it depends on, because everything has a different form factor. Like, who remembers the processor slots when Intel was doing the Celeron processor, where your
I remember that
CPU
shit.
came
The
on a
Pentium
cartridge?
1, or the Pentium 3s, I think, were the cartridge.
Yep.
Or
The
is that
slot A.
P2s? Slot A, yeah.
Yeah. So
Man, I remember all that shit.
So be very aware of the hardware you're trying to mount it to, and it's not necessarily the processor determines what the motherboard factor is. So if you can match that, you should be good. I would say go to Fry's, but they're out of business.
I sent you the picture on your DM. It's literally a little 4 little prong screw that I could take off really easily. So if I can get one that match those holes, I'm sure giggity. I'm sure I can get just a little fan cooler. I don't need nothing fancy for his machine.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of those fancy Corsair ones.
Yeah, this is my brother's old machine. He
Oh,
didn't.
so it may actually be liquid cooled. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem with that is depending on how much he's modified that case. Like if he's got liquid coolant going to his GPU and everything else, like
As
it's
far as I know, that's the only place that has this kind of device because those two cables that you're looking at go directly to the front of the case above the fan, and that's it.
okay.
It's not going to anywhere else in the machine. It's just on the processor.
Okay, just be sure. Otherwise, like bad stuff happens.
I mean, I'll double check with him. His machine. He built it, but I'm pretty
just,
sure.
just tell him to do it and throw dollars at him.
I might. It's like, can you just replace that for me? I'll buy the part. You made it the first time. Just hook me up.
Ooh, and you'll get the family like service discount, which is usually $0. And Uncle Brother is now the person that fixed his YouTube channel. So there you go.
That's right. He'll be the hero.
Uncle Brother. That's right up there with Uncle Grandpa. What am I talking about? All right. What's Lumi
Yeah,
doing?
Yeah, what's Lumi doing?
Lumi's doing a whole lot of nothing, playing WoW and trying to do more family stuff. So I haven't really been streaming throughout the week. I'm just keeping my streaming to just on Saturdays right now until I can find more time for it. Like today I did a bunch of yard work.
Feel that adulting sucks.
It does. Eventually I'll get back to streaming, but I've also got some other things that's going on in my life that I need to focus on. So
That's fair.
remember,
Mine-
kids, real life is more important. And streaming is fun and all, but it's not a living for people that are just starting out. Even though I've been doing this for like 2 years. So.
One last thing before we go, we have 56 seconds till the next ad. Apparently, the goblins over at Pirate Software's channel have now signed up 69,420 people out of a sub goal of 77,777. Also, start spamming sevens in chat if you have 7 brain cells.
Dude,
There's 30 seconds to go before the next ad, so bye.
Bye.
Don't,
if you're
as
on
Cajun says, Cajun can take
You
us out, I
guys stay
guess.
awesome. You guys stay classy. And as always, don't be a dick.
Or
Okay.
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Nintendo dick.
Nintendo dick, yeah. Don't be a Nintendo dick. Or
I would have
Nintendo.
gone as Nintendo for Halloween, but I can't fit 7 dicks in my mouth. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
No!
Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum.